There is a tremendous opportunity right now to reach out to people. I think people, we might be burned out on Zoom, we might be burned out on having calls all day, but when you can make that authentic connection and you can build that connection with somebody in your network, everybody benefits from that, and that's truly valuable.
So this brings us to the last value for A.L.M.A framework, and it's autonomy. In the A.L.M.A framework, it's the key question is, do you think you have the necessary autonomy to do your job? And in the scale that you have, it describes who is trusted by the company to make decisions. So it's about decision making and empowering people and teams to make the right decisions. Making a mirror, a parallel here to Forever Employable, autonomy is also important in a sense that you want to build that autonomy from the ground up, right? You want to become Forever Employable. If you build that brand, work with that brand, and sometimes get to the autonomy, and not just like financial autonomy, but empowering the people around you that will eventually be working with you to grow to, right? So autonomy is also about that.
It's really interesting. I found that regardless of where people work, whether they work as a self-employed consultant or they work inside an organization, many people don't feel like they have autonomy to make decisions about their career or to make decisions about improving their employability. I hear things like, well, I don't want my boss to read this, or I don't want my, or I'm really worried about putting this out there because what are people going to say about me, or what are they going to think about me? And I think that's exactly the kind of stuff you need to put out there, because it comes down to doubt, right? When it comes to autonomy, it's interesting. When you work in-house, you say, I need my boss to give me permission to do what I want to do. When you're building your career or your employability, it's about allowing yourself, it's basically letting yourself give yourself permission to do the things that you need to do to build your own platform and your own network and audience, and this kind of career insurance that I talk about in the book. And a lot of folks won't allow themselves to do that. They fear retribution from their peers, from the community, from their bosses. They're worried about putting stuff out there that's not great or polished or finished. And I think that's probably the biggest obstacle, is getting people over that, showing them that nothing terrible is going to happen, and then slowly letting them build that confidence over time to where they are autonomous, right? Autonomous in either determining how their self-employed business is going to go, or autonomous in shaping their career, right? Which I think is very, very important and empowering for people as well, to feel like, well, I've got a hand in steering my career. I'm not just at the whim of my boss or my employer or the market.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's not easy, right? Sometimes people feel trapped on that routine, right? And actually do not think about that. Interesting that you mentioned something, right? That people normally are afraid and think that they do not have this autonomy and are really afraid to put their ideas out there. One thing that really helped me, and I saw also a lot of colleagues telling me about that, right? Like mentoring someone that you think you can improve. It's not just rewarding, but can help you improve these skills. Like, because for someone that you think you can mentor, you can put all your ideas out there and test them out, because you're not kind of afraid, right, of doing that. So you're sharing expertise with someone that will benefit from that. So you're just not empowered that people, but you can improve your skills on doing that, on put your ideas out there.
Absolutely. Look, step 4 in Forever Employable, which has a total of 5 steps that I went through that are in the book, is teaching. And really using teaching to give back, but also to learn how to tell a compelling story, to understand where there are gaps in your content, to gain confidence. And, if you can teach something, you become better at it yourself. And so teaching to me is one of the most important things. And I see every opportunity as a teaching moment. For example, what we're doing right now, I see as a teaching moment. Standing up and
Sure.
giving a talk is a teaching moment. Teaching a workshop is obviously a teaching moment. Any opportunity that you have to mentor or coach is a teaching moment. And so take advantage of all those because it builds up your confidence, it builds up your autonomy, and it makes you better at your job in the first place, which is a a win-win situation.
Yeah, for everyone. And also, I believe that the moment that we are living right now is a perfect opportunity for that. I told you, like, my personal story is actually taking opportunity of the crisis to actually start building that.
Mhm.
Uh, and right now at this moment you have a much more access to people, right? People, you can reach them directly, you can ask them for a talk, you can ask them to a virtual coffee or something like that. So you can take advantage of this, like, virtualness that was already there before COVID, but COVID brought that up in your faces saying, like, use this, you need to use that, right? You need to use that power of that networking in your favor. And I think it's important to, right, take advantage that now people are much more approachable than before, for learning, for building, for sharing, right? It's
Mhm.
about that. It's about using the power of networking. People, and it's interesting too, like you might mention that in Forever Employable too, but the power of networking and understanding how to network. Like, people tend to think that networking is just like, okay, I have a social media account and I just ask you to be added or something like that to my social media account. But it's not about that, right? It's about sharing. It's about reaching that people in a more personal level, and share things with them, and then share back with you. It's not okay just having, I don't know, uh, it's not about just numbers, having 3 million connections. It's about using the power of that network.
Yeah, and it's amazing how personal it can get. I get people reach out all the time and they share their stories with me and they'll say, well, I tried this thing that you talked about and it worked. And that's amazing. Like, oh, they'll say, I tried this thing that you talked about and it didn't work for us, but here's what happened. And so we start to build this rapport and this conversation. And you're right, there is a tremendous opportunity right now to reach out to people. I think people, we might be burned out on Zoom, we might be burned out on having calls all day, but when you can make that authentic connection and you can build that connection with somebody in your network, everybody benefits from that, and that's truly valuable.